Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. I did a video yesterday evening, just a little flash video over Mhairi Black. Because earlier in the day, of course, we did the full story where you're getting the likes of Stephen Flynn coming out to try and change the narrative over things she said. She, of course, went on about people being too comfortable in the party, that there wasn't enough sort of direct action, that kind of thing, and blaming what many took at the time to mean the current members of the party. And Flynn was coming out, no, it wasn't the current members of the party. It was all people who subsequently left the party. They're definitely not the current members. She's not attacking anybody who's still there today. No, none of that at all. Because she's trying to rehabilitate herself, trying to ensure that once she leaves Westminster, she can get parachuted in to a seat at Holyrood. Well, that was all very fine and pleasant when he did that. But of course, subsequently, the gob on legs cannot help herself and has come out yesterday and attacked Nicola Sturgeon. So, of course, I did a little flash video and we're going to do the story in full now. She really can't help it, can she? The gob must open and the toxic mass of BS and stupidity pours forth. Let's have a look. So, Mhairi Black attacks Nicola Sturgeon's leadership as she claims Humza Yousaf inherited what she calls a slightly poisoned chalice. In other words, what Nicola Sturgeon, left was not good. It was, this poisoned chalice that Humza Yousaf has taken on. And it's all gone a bit wrong ever since, of course, he's taken over. When I say a bit wrong, I mean an utter and total catastrophe. The SNP's deputy Westminster leader once again launched an attack on the former First Minister as she defended Humza Yousaf's shocking start to life as a nationalist leader and head of the Scottish government. So she's tying herself to the Humza Yousaf mast just as his ship is starting to sink. There's a woman with no idea about the direction of politics, is she? She's a toxic individual who opens her mouth down in Westminster. She says it's toxic in Westminster, but now she's leaving. Westminster will be less toxic. But she thinks, oh, I know, I'll cozy up to Humza Yousaf. I'll slag off Nicola Sturgeon, and that's bound to ingratiate me with all the party when I go back up to Scotland. But she's doing that at the same time as the party have just about had enough. They're fed up to the back teeth with Humza Yousaf and his failures. They are starting to look for an alternative leader. Now, of course, she can't cozy up to Kate Forbes. She loathes Kate Forbes, which is just as well, I suppose, because Forbes doesn't like her. So what else can she do? She can try and ingratiate herself now while Humza Yousaf is still there, in the hope that she gets picked for a candidacy in some place or other, and then wait it out for an election. But who the hell wants her? She's a terrible woman. Anyway, outspoken SNP MP Mhairi Black has launched another scathing attack on her former leader, Nicola Sturgeon, as she claimed that the former minister left a slightly poisoned chalice to Humza Yousaf. The nationalist Westminster deputy leader has now twice criticised her ex-leader since she's stepped down. Obviously really doesn't like Nicola Sturgeon, I think. Despite not publicly slating Miss Sturgeon once she was in office, the outgoing Paisley and North Renfrewshire MP has now blasted her twice this year so far. She previously said that she was uncomfortable with the party relying on the former leader's cult of personality to promote itself. It was, though, wasn't it? It was basing itself on a certain Austrian gentleman. The whole party was basing itself on the format of a certain Austrian gentleman who was very popular, I believe, in Germany in the 1930s. And that was the cult of Nicola. You had to swear your fealty to the woman, not to the party. She's now claimed that Mr Yousaf was left with a mess when he took over as First Minister, as he was stuck with what she calls slightly poisoned chalice. Let's face it, it's been total and utter chaos. She admitted that the SNP had faced what she called challenges in recent months, but was full of praise for her new boss, boy is she kissing the ring. And he has presided over plummeting polling figures and popularity ratings. Also, massive crash in membership numbers. The loss of every single election since he's taken over. The loss of court cases. The ridicule he's facing at every decision. And the general unpopularity of the party. Is not just his own personal rating falls, but the SNP. Anyway, Miss Black is stepping down as an MP this year after 9 years in London and has also hit out at the toxic atmosphere in Westminster, most of which, of course, is caused by her. She is a bit of a soap dodger and she does enjoy the old Colombian Kit Kat. Anyway, she's faced accusations herself of not achieving anything during her almost decade-long run in the House of Commons, except a few viral speeches. But most of them are just literal nasty, sort of just tack dogging. They're not constructive in any way. She was interviewed by BBC Radio 4 documentary Labour Scotland Challenge, which aired on Monday night, and she was critical of the SNP's former leadership and said it would be foolish to say that the SNP hasn't faced its challenges. And of course we have, particularly, she says, when I think of what Humza has inherited. In some respects, it's been described as a slightly poisoned chalice he's been handed. But still, he's hit the ground running. Has he? Really? Anyway, he's hit the ground running, she said. He's talking about the things that matter. No, he's not. He's talking about independence. Doesn't matter. He's not talking about the things that matter. Not talking about the things that matter to people and families. He's talking about change and improving the quality of life for folk in Scotland. Well, I think he should do. I think he should be talking about that. After all, he's destroyed it. She praised the First Minister's position, despite the scandal hit 2023 that he presided over for the Nationalists. More on scandal later. I have another issue that we're going to discuss in a later video about scandal and its continuing scandal, but we'll come to that in due course. Anyway, the Scottish Government has faced huge issues which Mr Youssef has been heavily involved in, including the deletion of informal messages during COVID pandemic, or as we like to call it, destruction of evidence. He was accused of lying to the public. I don't know why accused is being used there. He's lied to the public. For claiming that news reports said he sold the UK COVID inquiry, he wiped them before he found them in an old phone were wrong. He's admitted it. He's not accused of lying. He has lied. He is a liar. Before confessing, anyway, done that. He's also refused to criticise Miss Sturgeon for deleting her WhatsApps and failed to sack or reprimand Health Secretary Michael Matheson for his for his actual £11,000 attempted fraud. He's then, there's a probe on that ongoing. And his administration has suffered a number of embarrassing court defeats, all of them, including about gender reforms, which will end up costing $300,000, and attempting to hide evidence relating to Alex Salmond's sexual misconduct case, when the judge ordered them to look again at this. He was ordered to release the information, refused to do so. This went to court. The court case was overturned immediately, and the judge says, no, you must release the information. And now they're not releasing the information again, but for a different reason. They know, because what they would release would be so damaging. Not just to the party, but to Nicola Sturgeon particularly. And he's trying to, defend her. But he's going to be breaking the law and getting contempt of court charges while doing that, I think. Anyway, to top this all off, the SNP are still being investigated by cops to look at whether 600,000 of ring-fenced monies were stolen. It's all shady. And Mhairi Black is right that he did inherit a poisoned chalice, but she's wrong in saying that Westminster is toxic. She's the toxic one. Westminster will be slightly less toxic once she leaves. Coming up. I think the sooner Mhairi Black leaves Westminster, the better Westminster will be. But no one in their right mind would want her as a representative, and certainly they won't want her to be parachuted into any constituency in Scotland. Why should anyone be forced to choose her? She's a toxic, obnoxious individual who achieves nothing. She's never done anything. She's never had a proper job except, shoveling chips into paper bags. It's the only job she's ever had. Probably wasn't even good at that. And she just is a hate-filled, loathing individual. But hey, that's just me. Anyway, I should stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and I will speak to you later. Bye.